I like to wear a high visibility vest when I'm out and about, which gets pretty interesting when I like go grocery shopping and then people in the grocery store are asking me questions about where stuff is. I am not, in fact, an employee.
I think that's amazing that people think that you work at grocery stores. I also think that people will think you're a nerd, which is great. And also, if you ever want to do some reconnaissance and like do some graffiti or anything else illegal, you just wear a safety vest and you can get away with anything. So,
Yeah. Welcome to the Streets I'm In podcast, the show where we shape transportation and land use to make our world a better place. Coming to you from beautiful Frogtown, St. Paul, Minnesota, I am your host, Ian R. Buck. Today's episode is a bit of a guide for people who want to bike more for transportation. I have a conversation with fellow bike commuter Melody Hoffmann about the challenges we have encountered with utilitarian biking and the solutions that we've come up with. This conversation originally appeared on The Extra Dimension, a podcast that I actively produced from 2015 to 2020 about the social and ethical implications of technology. Find the show notes and a transcript of the episode at streets.mn. And with that, let's hop back in time to a conversation from summer 2019. So, Melody.
hello.
You have been biking for, I think, quite a bit longer than I have as, like, your primary form of transportation. And you've also seen this from, like, the academic side as well, right? You've done a few, like, studies at the university level regarding biking-related stuff.
Yeah. I started biking as an adult in college in Milwaukee because I realized that it was quicker to get to school that way than driving my car and trying to find a place to park. And then when I got all the way up to my PhD in Minneapolis, I decided to do my entire dissertation on bike advocacy, but looking more at how racism and gentrification and classism gets interwoven into some forms of bike advocacy. Not our topic today, but I've done studies on that. And then I've also looked a lot into how law enforcement interacts with bicyclists through citations and, you know, kind of thinking through whether law enforcement is the best method or one of the best methods to get bicyclists to change their behavior and drivers to change their behavior. Again, not topics that we're talking about today, but that's some of my academic background.
Yeah, and definitely good stuff to understand, but not necessary if you just want to get out there and bike on your own.
I will say that in my research, African, and Latinx people are often harassed by the police. And so sometimes that is a barrier to getting people out on bikes. So one challenge that we're probably not going to talk about much as middle-class white people is fearing law enforcement or fearing being very visible. If we were undocumented or had a warrant for something, we'd be talking about this a little bit differently in terms of our relationship with the police. So I just wanted to throw that out there because it does, unfortunately, in this country, race does impact how you're seen in the public. And when we're biking, we're very visible. And I know we often feel very vulnerable. And if you add a marginalized race to it, it gets, even more tenuous.
Yeah. It's kind of the inverse of a few comments that I saw from people online where they were talking about like ways to avoid looking like you're a cyclist after you've gotten off of the bike. But in this case, it's like because of our perceptions of race, like black people who are on bicycles aren't perceived as like true cyclists, quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly. And they're often seen as suspect. Police and, white citizens will be like, I think that guy stole a bike, just because he's black and he's riding a nice bike, so there's lots of layers to all of that.
Yep. Okay, so the first challenge that I have heard from a lot of people is not feeling safe while out on the roads. That's definitely, like the number one thing, even from experienced cyclists, that, you hear people complaining about having to deal with cars and, the fear of getting hit by cars and stuff like that. So a few things that I have found that really, really help is, number one, like building up your knowledge of how bicycles interface with the rest of like the road. I think, more than any equipment or anything like that, just knowing how things are supposed to work is going to help you a lot.
And to piggyback off of that, I would also say just knowing your rights as a bicyclist on the road. So like you do have the right to a full lane of like what we think of as a car lane at any time. If there's a bike lane, you're supposed to be using the bike lane and you're supposed to be over to the right as far as possible. But you still get like a 3 foot, depends on your city, but like 3 to 5 feet away from a parked car as well for your safety. I think sometimes when bikes or people just start to learn what their rights are on the road, they can start to feel a little bit more confident. So make sure that you're aware. I mean, just remember that you have the right to a full lane. Doesn't matter what the drivers say. It's your legal right. And it makes you feel safer if you take up that space.
Especially when you're like about to take a left turn, you have to take a lane in order to get over there, to be able to safely take a left turn.
Yeah, it's not safe to stay in the bike lane and try to take I don't even know what that would be. The safest way to be a bicyclist on the road is to behave like you are a vehicle. So going over to the left lane, obeying traffic lights, stop signs we can talk about, you can roll through those, but like be predictable. And the best way to be predictable is to just use the same rules that you know about being a driver as a bicyclist. And that's what the law expects you to do as well.
Yeah. And signaling. Signaling is a big part of being predictable.
Yes. And how do you signal, Ian? What do you signal for?
I signal for primarily turns.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, doing group rides is so helpful to feeling more confident on the road.
Yeah.
I would say contact bike shops, and they usually have connections. Also, if you identify as trans, women, or femme, Grease Rag is a really helpful organization they run a lot of different rides, including POC only rides. So if you identify as a person of color, that is also woman, trans, or femme, they have a ride for you. So there's a ride for everybody, especially in big cities. Just contact your bike shops. And those are super helpful. I did that all the time when I lived in Milwaukee when I first started riding. Even riding around with 2 or 3 other people, it just gives you a little bit more confidence when you're learning how to ride around your city.
As for equipment that you can get to be safer, helmet, of course. That's the big one. I like to wear a high visibility vest when I'm out and about, which gets pretty interesting when I go grocery shopping and then people in the grocery store are asking me questions about where stuff is. I am not, in fact, an employee.
I think that's amazing that people think that you work at grocery stores. I also think that people will think you're a nerd, which is great. Some people will, but I feel like much more confident when I have those nerdy things on, like a high vis vest. And also if you ever want to do some reconnaissance and do some graffiti or anything else illegal, you just wear a safety vest and you can get away with anything. So,
yeah.
And they sell them at Ragstock, which is strange. You don't have to go to a bicycling store and pay $50 for a high vis vest. You can find these things in malls, and Aldi has great access to helmets and lights. They sell those. So
right. And you did remind me that one of the reasons I like using a vest instead of getting some bike specific really bright jackets and stuff like that is I can wear whatever the heck I want and then just put the vest over it. And then when I get to a place, I take the vest off and I put it in my bag. And then
That's really smart.
It's just, whatever. Sunglasses I would actually categorize as a safety thing as well. For a couple reasons. They help you see through glaring sunlight. But they also help keep the wind out of your eyes so you can keep your eyes open more often. And I, in particular, really like my pair of sunglasses that have interchangeable lenses. So they've got just a yellow tinted lens that I can wear at night.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, I need those just for general life purposes.
Speaking of riding at night, lights. Lights are
You
super
have to have
important.
lights.
Yeah.
Helmets, I understand the arguments for and against. We're a pro helmet podcast. Lights, you have to have them. It is so hard to see bicyclists when you don't have lights on. It's
also it's
necessity.
hard for you to see stuff.
Yes.
If you don't have a good headlight, then potholes are going to be 10 times worse.
Especially in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But how do you deal because lights can be very expensive. Like the
Yes.
lights that can really illuminate the road. So there's like safety ones, like cheap ones, will be enough for you to be visible to other people and other drivers.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be biking at night a lot and you need, like what Ian was saying, like you need to look out for potholes and other weird things in the street. I say invest, I don't know, what, $30-$40 in a front light.
Yeah. I have one that outputs like 500 lumens, and that was like $50. So I definitely don't leave my lights on if I'm going to be locking up my bike somewhere for an extended period of time. I just take them off and tuck them in my bag. Yeah.
Yes, do that.
It's one extra little thing, but like, it makes it so that you can bike at all times of the day, and you're not just like limited, especially in the winter, to the daylight hours. Yes,
and same with the helmet too. If you don't want to bring your helmet in to wherever you're going, you can hook your helmet into your lock when you're locking up, just as a tip.
Google Maps, I would also argue is a safety thing. You probably know that it can like route you around on a car, or like you can, choose transit as an option, but way over on the right, there's bicycling. And Google has surprisingly good data, for a lot of municipalities on bike-friendly routes, in like not just off-street trails, but also they know like which streets have bike lanes, and even like which streets are low enough like vehicular traffic volume that even if they don't have bike specific infrastructure, they'll be safer for you to bike on. And so yeah, I use Google Maps every day to navigate my way around. And yeah, like also having a phone mount on my handlebars so that I can have that turn-by-turn directions like visible in front of me. Very, very helpful, so I don't accidentally like miss my turn.
And of course, with any kind of directions, I will say don't trust them fully. Like Google Maps has led me astray in a few places, especially around North Minneapolis, where just we are forgotten about in numerous ways. Sometimes Google Maps doesn't get that like Glenwood Avenue is closed right now and they're still routing me through Glenwood, which is, it's cool because sometimes when roads are closed, because the nice thing about bicyclists is that like we don't always have to follow the rules. So we could be on the sidewalk if there's a road that's closed.
Yeah.
So I think Google Maps kind of like gives us that ability. But in this case, you cannot access the road. At any rate, just be careful about that. And then in terms of having, if you don't like looking down at your screen, Bluetooth speakers now are really affordable. And so sometimes what I do is I don't have my phone out, but I'll have the directions on my speaker. So then it'll just tell me that way. So if you don't like looking down at a screen, you can always get a Bluetooth speaker. Also helpful because then you can listen to music, and music makes biking even more fun.
Yep. I go the route of having some Bluetooth headphones, and I just have like one earbud in my right ear, and then I leave my left ear open so I can hear traffic.
Always do that. You wouldn't suggest putting both headphones in.
No, that'd be really dumb.
You really need to hear it. The thing that you'll realize once you bike more and more is that you use your sense of hearing so much on the road. You can tell. Can you tell, Ian? Like, I feel like I asked you this before, but like a car, you can tell how fast a car is coming, just how it sounds behind you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this guy's not going to give me any space. I bet you 3, 2, 1. It's like, yep. So you need to don't have both headphones in. Very important.
Yeah. And we actually, on a related show to the Extra Dimension, on Second Opinion, I've been reviewing a few different headphones, and one of them was bone conduction headphones, which kind of like rest on your temple area in front of your ears, so you can still hear everything around you. It doesn't isolate you from the world, but you can also hear like what the little headphones are saying.
That's cool. How much are those? $2 million?
The ones that I was testing were $90.
Oh, that's not too bad.
It occurs to me as we talk about all of this equipment that you can be getting to make your time cycling easier, that it might be really useful to have some reviews of specific pieces of equipment that I've used. So if you're interested in seeing some biking specific reviews over on Second Opinion, let us know, and I'll make sure to get a bunch of those on our list. One more thing to talk about with Google Maps. In the wintertime especially, I think I might start doing, instead of like bike routing, I'll tell it to just have me like, I'm a car, but avoid highways, because a lot of the like bike specific paths and stuff during the winter are not plowed, as well as roads are. So I think I'm just going to have to make that concession, like, okay, just put me on a road and I'll deal with it.
I would counter that by saying it depends, because
Mm-hmm.
when I was biking to the U from uptown, so that's a good chunk of 5 to 7 miles, in my experience, the Greenway, which is a path that goes east and west through our city, that got plowed before the side streets did. So I think it depends. Take a look at what your bike infrastructure is around your house during the wintertime and see like what the schedule is for the plows. But to Ian's point, riding on the main drags is very safe in the winter because there's so much car traffic that a lot of the snow gets cleared that way as well.
Yeah. And yeah, you live over there in the comparatively biking utopia of Minneapolis. Over in St. Paul. I ended up trying to go.
Oh, that's right. I'm
on...
so sorry. I forget about St. Paul.
So speaking of the Minneapolis-St. Paul divide,
oh, yes.
Living in an area with good bike infrastructure, like that is a choice that you can make. And if you want to live in an area that doesn't have the best bike infrastructure, you can get involved and push your city and county to build more bike infrastructure. Look around, see if there's something like the St. Paul Bicycle Coalition or Minneapolis Our Streets in your area, and start advocating. Yeah. And yeah, like we said, like if you feel really, really unsafe on a road, it's usually legal for you to bike on a sidewalk. But keep in mind that like if you're going faster than a pedestrian would, it's probably safer for you to be on the road.
Yeah, the few times that I've had run-ins with cars, I have not been following the rules to the road. Like one time I was on a sidewalk, and then the second time, instead of taking the lane to take a left turn, I went way over into the opposing lane's traffic, you know? And again, drivers don't see you that way, right? They're not thinking that a bicyclist is going to come around the corner. So I know sometimes it feels safer to be on the sidewalk, and I'm not going to deny anybody's experience. I would just like to say that it's perhaps safer on the road than you might think, especially if you use your rights to the lane. And also you could think about a different road to take if possible. Just go down one block, and usually you can find a safer and more chill street.
Yeah. Use your best judgment in any given situation. That's it. Another challenge that I've heard is that bikes and bike equipment are expensive.
Yeah, we just started talking about headphones and lights and locks and helmets. Like, what are we up to here?
Yeah, it's and definitely when you're like shopping around for a bike, it is important to keep in mind the prices of the additional things that you're going to be buying for it, right? Because a bare bike with none of these add-ons on it is going to be a significant fraction of the price, but it's still only a fraction of the price. But yeah, you don't have to get like the racing grade road bikes, and you can adjust the price to fit most budgets. Also consider that like if you are going all in and you replace your car with a bike, then you can definitely afford some really, really nice bike stuff for less money probably than what you're saving by not having a car. And this was actually one of the reasons that I wanted to do this episode this summer, is because I have had my current bike for exactly 1 year. So I went and did some math on how much I had spent on it. And in total, it came out to be about $1,600, $1,200 of which was just like buying the bike and all of the add-ons in the first place.
And that's a very footnote. That isn't a very expensive bike.
Yeah.
So if people are like, I do not have $1,200. Let me tell you, you can get a good bike for $300 or $400.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Ian can continue with his math. Sorry, it was just that's.
Yeah. No,
it's expensive.
Yeah, I was going from, in high school, like my first major purchase was like a $400 mountain bike. And I bought that because I thought like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a hardcore like mountain biker, always off road, yada, yada. And then I became an adult and I'm like, I'm just commuting to work every day. And so finally got around to actually getting like something that's more worthy of the road. So then, that leaves like, I've spent about $400 on maintenance over the course of a year, which is really not bad at all. And if you've been riding your bike, just recreationally, that might sound absurd. Like, wow, $400 to maintain a bike for a year. But consider that like when you're riding it every day for your basic utility, like you're going to be putting way, way more distance on that thing than you ever would just by like taking it out once or twice a week to go around Lake Phalen. So we can compare this price to something like, if you just use public transit here in the Twin Cities, Metro Transit's like 31-day passes. If you get 12 of those, that'll be $1,100. Because I think those are $90 each. If you buy a car, of course, this is going to be highly variable as well. But like, my understanding is you're going to be spending a few $1,000s at least to get like a decent car that isn't going to break down on you. And then like gas can be $40 a month or so. Insurance is like $100 a month. That's not even, I don't even know how much maintenance for a car is, but it's got to be more than a bike, right?
Well, it's so much more than a bike. I mean, you got to get an oil change at least every 3,000 miles. So having a car is very expensive. And even if you have a car, if you can even cut out 1 or 2 trips using your bicycle, that's saving you money right there as well, if money is something of a concern to you. And of course, the more trips that you can cut out from your car, the more money you'll save. But having a bike is very, I think, why do people think it's expensive, Ian? Where's the misconception coming from?
I mean, I think that the misconception is coming from the fact that like the most visible part of bike culture is the hardcore nuts who, go all in on the equipment and, bike at 35 kilometers an hour down the street. And, you see them and they've got like a carbon fiber bodied bike that's super light and it costs like $7,000 or whatever. Man, I saw some crazy bikes on the MS 150. Whew.
I'm sure. Yeah. And those are all just very expensive and not needed to be a utilitarian cyclist if you just want to get around the city.
Yeah, no.
Although some people, on the flip side, when people ask me about used bikes, they only want to spend like $100 or $200 because I'm thinking they're thinking, okay, when I was a kid, bikes cost like basically nothing. So as an adult, it's probably going to be $100 or $200. And what I say to them is there's a sweet spot that you have to figure out. But sometimes buying those really, really cheap bikes, they're going to break often. They're going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be things wrong with them. They're going to be older. And so if you can save up some money and get a $300 or $400 bike, you're going to love it. And you're just going to end up riding it more. So that's my thing about cost. How do you feel about like?
Yeah, I think that $300 or $400 is a good general rule, probably for like the base price that you would want to look for. And just generally like having a bike that isn't going to slow you down, right? Like I, as a person, I want to be the slowest part of a system, whether it's my bike or my computer or whatever, right? I like that. Like I want it to be waiting for me, not me waiting for it. And that was the big change when I went from a mountain bike to a road bike, was like, oh my gosh. Oh, I actually really, really enjoy this now. Of course, I liked biking before, but now it's like I can't not bike fast.
Right.
When I'm on this thing. It encourages me to just push myself a little bit harder. So the price of a bike build can really get as large or as small as you need it to. And really the important thing is that you just find a bike that is going to be good for your particular needs, right? If you, have a more sensitive back, you might want a recumbent bike. If you're going to be hauling a lot of stuff, a cargo bike might be good for you. If you are going to be biking like longer distances or if you need to go faster than you can feasibly go without some assistance, then an e-bike might be great. I really do believe that e-bikes are a great solution for like 85% of people to be able to replace their cars with a bike, because they are just so much more efficient than a car, but they still give you enough assistance for you to be able to go long distances at a relatively high speed and to live your daily life without a car. When I was shopping around for my new bike last summer, and I was thinking about, what kind of bike was I going to want, I seriously was considering getting like a big old cargo bike, because I knew how much like stuff I haul around on a regular basis. But then I remembered that, oh yeah, I also do end up taking my bike on buses and on the light rail on a fairly regular basis. And so really a traditional framed safety bike was really the only way for me to go for that.
I think it'll be less frustrating if you get a decent bike. And also in terms of maintenance, when you get a flat tire on a car, it's to fix it $100, you got to tow it. I mean, it can be hundreds of dollars.
Oh yeah.
If you get I couldn't believe this when I had a bike as an adult. When you get a flat tire, like they can fix it at the bike shop for like $30, or you can do it yourself. You can, take the tube out and fix your flat.
Yeah, a new inner tube costs like $7.
Yeah, it's so, after you have a car and then you go into a bike shop and you get things fixed, it is so cheap. It is so cheap. Mm-hmm. And so if you just make that initial investment, the bike is going to last you a super, super long time. And then if anything goes wrong, the cost is so minimal to fix. If you bring it into bike shop, and so many bike shops are teaching people how to do their own maintenance, and there's books out there that you can do it yourself, and it saves even more money. So the affordability thing, I hope the way that we've talked about it, we've debunked any kind of myths. But it is a super affordable form of transportation, and that's how the technology has been since it was invented.
Yeah. So speaking of mechanical troubles, yeah, that's another concern that I've heard people talking about is like, what if I have mechanical trouble while I'm out and about? And yeah, once again, this is going to be a much more of a concern than if you are riding recreationally, because when you really start putting on more distance, like it's more likely that things might go wrong while you're out there, right? So I always have like a basic repair kit with me. I just have a little saddlebag that hangs underneath my seat, and in there I have a spare inner tube, some tire hooks, a patch kit, which I only use for emergencies. I used to be of the attitude that like, oh yeah, I'm going to use patch kits all the time so that I can like get the most, because I was like, I don't want to waste rubber. I want to save the environment by not, okay, but like patches only last for so long, and I only use patch kits if I like have 2 flat tires during a ride, and then I can patch one of the ones that, that has a hole.
And for the listeners out there, you don't get flats all the time.
No, you really don't.
Again, back to what you invest in. I've noticed that if I buy like a slightly nicer tire than the bottom wrong value one, I get less flats. And so a bike shop can always, if you're like worried about getting flats, you could be like, I just want, a really tough tire, and then they'll suggest one for you. So as long as, and also like after you put on a lot of miles, the tires start wearing down just like on a vehicle. And so you need to get them replaced because they'll start producing flats for you. But in general, like I rarely get flats. Like I used to get flats all the time when I was doing it Ian style, but I think investing in better tires will help. So I don't want you to think, even though we're focusing on flats, that as a bicyclist, you get flats all the time.
Yeah, no, it's just the most likely thing that can go wrong.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
And then the other thing that I didn't realize until after, so I had this patch kit, like this repair kit put together, and then one time I got a flat and I changed it out, and I'm like, wait, there's no air in this new tire. I need a pump. It's so that was when I realized that I needed to buy a little portable
Yeah.
pump that to attach to my frame. But now that I have one, whenever I'm on a group ride, I am everybody's best friend, because if anybody gets like a flat,
Yep.
I'm the one that they have to come to pump it up again.
It's like having a first aid kit. It's like it's the bike first aid kit. And I would add to this packet of tools is also to have a bus pass or some bus money, because if you're in, I think, I don't want to say most cities, but in a lot of cities that I've been to, buses have bike racks now in front of their buses. So if you get a flat, you could always just throw your bike on a bus or bring it onto the light rail.
Yeah, and like anywhere that you are within biking distance of getting to like where you're trying to go, you're probably also within busing distance. So
Yes.
yeah. And then I also just have like a little multi-tool that has, it looks like a pocket knife, but it folds out and it just has like, different size Allen wrenches on it. Because most things on a bike, if you're going to have to like adjust them a little bit, they take Allen wrenches, a Phillips head as well.
Super helpful. Everybody should have
Yeah.
a multi-tool. Very affordable. It's great. It's great to have on the road.
And then there's a little bit of knowledge that you should have, of course, just how to do those basic repairs, how to change a tire, how to like, oh, my fenders are a little bit wonky and rubbing against the tire. How can I, like, what tension do I need to adjust to move it into place? And then also like learning how to recognize when you need to take it into the shop to do things. So like I probably could learn how to change a chain and like change a cassette, because those are the two things that I have to take it in for the most often. But I haven't gotten to the point where I feel like I need to do that at home.
If you are somebody who is interested in learning the manual labor of bikes, there's this great book called Chainbreaker, and it started off as a zine decades ago at this point. And it's just written from a very accessible standpoint, and it explains bikes through illustration and using words as well. And that's kind of, mine's all greasy and dirty because I often go to it if I don't, it's like, yeah, I'd like to know how to tighten up my brakes. And oftentimes with some of these repairs, it's all about having the specific tool. So like if you wanted to change your chain, no pun intended, you need a chain breaker. And you don't have that tool at home. Like no toolbox comes with a chain breaker.
Right.
Or if your stem of your bike is like kind of wobbly, you need a specific wrench that is the size of a specific nut on our bikes, right? That only bike shops sell. So if you do go to bike shops, ask about open shop nights. And those are nights where they open up the shop and you can use their tools to kind of explore some aspects of your bike. And that's how I learned how to do a lot of things. And then you don't have to invest in those tools unless you get really into it. And then you can buy one.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to learn how to fix just about everything on bikes. They're very simple machines.
They are. And the technology has stayed the same since the 1890s.
Yeah,
which is fascinating in terms of technology. Like it's all the same. We have not innovated at all because it works.
Yeah, I think most of the innovation probably has come from like new materials, like lighter things to make this out of, but it's all the same shape still.
Yep.
Yeah. Related to the expense of all of this stuff, you want to protect your investment, right? So getting a good lock is definitely important. The reason that I bought a new bike a year ago was because my old mountain bike got stolen. It was locked up and somebody just cut right through the cable lock that I had. So I'm a fan of folding locks now. They look a little weird. A lot of people don't realize that it's a lock when it's attached to my bike. But it basically, like, when you unfold it and open it up, it kind of looks like a chain, because it makes a full circle. But it's almost as solid and thick as like a U-lock, which is kind of, usually held up as like the gold standard for the hardest locks to get through. And so I think folding locks really like strike a good balance between like, the hard, like the security of a U-lock and the flexibility of a cable lock. I might change my tune, if my current bike ever does get stolen, but it hasn't yet.
No, I think I've heard good things about those foldable locks. And just to reiterate what Ian was saying, the cable locks are worthless. Like, it's so easy to break through those. And so you are going to have to spend some money on a lock. But like he said, it's like protecting your investment. So keep that in mind as another important investment to make into your biking. But yeah, don't use a cable lock. It's like you're just crossing your fingers at that point.
Yeah. And like one thing that I think people don't really take into consideration is like, how am I going to attach this lock to my bike, right? With a U-lock, you can you can mount it to the frame if you've got like a clip that attaches to the frame. The folding lock has like a little sleeve basically that it slots into, and so then like they're not rattling around and getting in the way while you're riding. Having stuff attached to your bike that like moves and slides, I'm not a fan of, because then like weight's shifting and it can rub against your bike and like mess up the paint job and stuff. So I try to have things as like secured down as possible.
Yeah,
batten down the hatches.
But we could also, don't you, like when I was a dumb 22-year-old, I used to get a giant bike messenger bag and throw everything in my backpack, like my U-lock and my lights, and then and my groceries. And then I developed horrible shoulder problems. Surprise, surprise. So I switched to panniers. Are you a fan of panniers?
I am, yes. This brings us very nicely into our next challenge, which is you cannot haul stuff while biking. It's hard to transport stuff around. A cargo rack and some panniers. Panniers, I don't know, it's French. They let you carry like a lot of stuff, a lot more stuff than you would expect.
Yes. Or if you're like me and you have a problem when you go to Target and you buy too much crap, it keeps you from buying crap that you don't need.
You'll definitely learn to kind of judge how much stuff you can reasonably fit into the bags that you have, once you've had them for a while and you are familiar with them. But yeah, just like simply having a rear rack over your back tire with some panniers. You can even, get like a milk crate and like bungee cord it to the top of your rack and, add some extra cargo space that way. I recently took the plunge and got a front rack as well, so now I can have like 2 sets of panniers and
wow.
and yeah, I did that mostly for bike touring.
Totally.
But like it's definitely gonna be useful here in the cities, especially since I have a cargo net on top of my front rack now. So like if I've got something really bulky or like awkwardly shaped, then I can just like put it on top of that platform and put the cargo net over it. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe this is particular to who I am, but I find it really enjoyable as like a challenge to try to get the stuff that I have home on a bike. Like even so if I run out of space, it's like, oh, that's kind of annoying, but I figure something out, And like the other day I went out to lunch with a friend downtown and I stopped into Nordstrom Rack to there were some shoes on clearance. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't bring my bags with me. But the checkout person was like, oh, here, use this plastic bag. It's really nice to bike with. I've biked home with it before. And caveat, yes, I should not be using more plastic bags when I have tons at home. But in that moment, I had an uh-oh moment. And she just hooked me up with this bag and I tied it to my handlebar. And I got home and I was like, oh, cool. Look I figured this out by myself and this other person helped. And so it's kind of just a fun challenge as well. Mm-hmm. And especially in cities where people bike a lot, people will help you out. People will help you figure it out. Have you ever had to leave something because you couldn't get it home on a bike?
Yeah, not very often, but once or twice. Yeah, I just realized oh, wait, this isn't going to work. Let me not check out with this item.
Oh, so you've put stuff back before you have purchased it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember one time I bought kitty litter and it was a really heavy bag and I put it on the back of my bike with the rack with a bungee cord, but the bungee didn't cut through the bag, but it kind of broke the vacuum seal. And so it was just annoying to get home. It was it would just sway back and forth. But I will say the most annoying times that I've been on my bike trying to get stuff home was when I insisted on putting it on my back with backpacks. It was like my back was about to like crumble and I was just too cool for school. It's like, I'm not going to get these bags and put them on my racks, man. Like that's nerdy. But now I've accepted it and it's...
Yeah, no, getting everything, all the weight off of your body is essential. Like
Yes.
I won't even bike around if I still have my keys in my pocket. Like I have to put that in my bag.
Oh, wow.
You
go all out.
Yeah. Maybe I'm being a little bit too picky, but like, I've gotten used to not having anything. Nothing's holding me down, man.
That's good. I'm glad. I like our dynamic here. You're like the going all out, getting all the gear, and I'm like the DIY punk that messed up for a long time and is now seeing a chiropractor but can tell you of the things not to do to not be in that situation.
I did start off this like doing more DIY stuff like when I first moved back into the cities and I became determined to never ever own a car. For my first birthday in that situation, I just asked my parents, I was like, hey, you don't need to buy me anything, but like you guys still have that toddler trailer, right? That you hook up to a bike and then you can like haul a couple of tiny children with you, right?
Yes.
And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I want that so I can go grocery shopping. So even before I had like a cargo rack on my bike, that was my solution. And trailers, oh my God, they hold tons of stuff.
They're so fun. And people think there's children in them and then they give you all this room because they don't want to hit children on a trailer.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Even on group rides, I've had a couple of times where like if I was planning on going grocery shopping after the group ride, I had a couple of people saying like, oh, who's in the trailer? I'm like, grocery bags.
Yes. And they're cheap. By the way, like because there's so many generations of bike trailers now, you can find one on Craigslist for like $100. So you are, I don't know in what world you live in which you would be hauling a lot of things, you can do it with trailers. My friend Lo, they haul like, I don't even 50 pounds worth of pickles every week to the farmer's market. I mean, it is.
Wow.
If you want to nerd out on the cargo thing, there's a whole world into cargo bikes, like how to haul things. Like I have a friend in Portland. They've hauled a couch before, bookshelves. They have like a system, like a cargo system, but you can do it. You can do it. Or you can just rent a truck. It's fine. Nobody is going to blame.
Yep.
Like, don't shame yourself if you're like, I have to get a truck. Like, yes, that's why some of us have cars, because sometimes it's just easier to move things. We live in the United States. Gas is affordable. It's okay if you need to move some things.
And here's the thing, like, even if you own a car, you're probably going to encounter times where you cannot haul large things in your car, right? And you might have to rent a truck.
That's true.
Hey, bicyclists do that too.
Yep.
There you go. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Streets MN podcast. But wait, there's more. Melody and I had so much to discuss, it ended up being too long for just one episode. Tune in to the next episode to hear how we deal with all kinds of weather, long-distance touring, and a few challenges that we have not yet found solutions to. In the meantime, here's how you can connect with Melody online.
My website is phmelody, melody.com. You can find me on Twitter at MLH_ARCC, and you can shoot me an email at mlh.rw24@gmail.com. You can call me, just kidding.
What's your GeoCities?
Dude, I had one a long time ago for a band that I loved, and I can't remember I wish I could remember the address now.
This show is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Non-Derivative license, so feel free to republish the episode as long as you are not altering it and you are not profiting from it. The music in this episode is by Eric Brandt and the Urban Hillbilly Quartet. This episode was hosted and edited by me, Ian R. Buck, with transcript by the indomitable Mike Allen. Christy Marsden is our awesome guest booker, and technical assistance is provided by the super professional Brian Mitchell. If you're able to help make sure this team gets paid for the hard work that they do, please consider donating at streets.mn/donate. We really appreciate it. If you have feedback or ideas for future episodes, drop us a line at podcast@streets.mn. Until next time, take care.